Hey BookTube, it's Jackie. How's it going? If you're new to me and this is the first time you've seen my face, hello, what's up? My name's Jackie. I sit on my floor and I talk about books. So I hope that's why you're here, because that's what's going to be happening today. If you're not new to me, thank you for always tuning in, the continued support. I really do appreciate it. So today for you, I'm very excited to finally bring this. This has been a long time coming and she has been waiting on pins and needles for this, but this is my full book review of the third installment to Christina Maraziotis' Loveletting series, Ghost. It's finally here. It's finally here, Christina. Let's fucking do this. So if you'd like to know what I think of the third installment of this massive Western Gothic romance love story that takes you for a loop, gives you characters that not only scare you, make you feel targeted, but turn you on in the craziest fucking ways, and takes good men, makes them evil, and evil men, and makes them hot and sexy and good, and you're just like, what the fuck are you doing to me, lady? Then grab yourself a drink, have yourself a seat, because we're about to be haunted by some ghosts. Okay. Yes, this is my full book review of Christina Maraziotis' Ghost, the third installment to the Loveletting series. This thing has been a long time coming, and I want to preface this entire video that those who follow me on a regular basis, it did take me a long time to read this book. It had nothing to do with the book. The book saved me during some very dark periods of my life. It drew me out. So thank you so much. Please do not take the fact that it took me a long time to read this book any way, shape, or form directed towards the book. It was all me. This book is amazing, and if I was in the better mindset, I would have sat and read this thing in probably 2 or 3 sittings, because let's be honest, it's like 750 plus pages. The bitch can write a story, all right? She likes to write them long. She likes them thick. That's why I love her. Okay, here's a few stats on this book before we get into it. Third installment to Loveletting series, you do have to have read Haunt and Curse, which are the first installment and the second installment to this series, to understand this book. And I have also, just for help, I have reviewed both Haunt and Curse. I'm reviewing the entirety of this series for Christina, and I will link those reviews right here in the corner. You can go check out the Loveletting playlist, and they'll also be linked to the down box below, so you guys go check them out if you'd like. But you do have to read those 2 books to understand this, because this is a direct follow-up to the series. It is a continuous series. It is not a companion series. Now, I read the trigger page in Haunt and Curse, and so it's kind of a tradition now. We're just going to read it, because this is a very trigger-happy series. Very trigger happy, okay? So here we go. This series is a work of fiction, but it also touches upon some extremely difficult topics within its pages. It is not intended to be politically correct, but rather an examination of the very imperfect human condition. The characters are inherently morally gray, and the philosophies implied by their situations are intended to challenge the reader. So please continue with an open mind. In Loveletting as a whole, difficult situations are often described in graphic detail. This includes, but is not limited to, the subjects of sex, lust, vulgarity, sexual assault, child abuse, animal abuse, hunting, molestation, incest, violence, firearms, gore, torture, necrophilia, voodoo, cannibalism, ritual practice, hematophagy, necromancy, self-harm, disability, post-traumatic stress disorder, mental illness, schizophrenia, death, grief, suffering, infant mortality, cultic worship, possession, blasphemy, and religion in general. These subjects are at best controversial. They may also be triggering to traumatized or otherwise sensitive readers. Being explicit in the description of these subjects is vital to the story being told, and always in a tasteful manner. But please heed this warning before continuing at your own discretion. I also have to issue my own warning. I have read all 3 of these installments, and she is not lying. She goes into great heavy detail of a lot of these triggers, the ones that do appear within the pages. They are great detail, but understand that she will take care of you. If you have not read Haunt or Curse, you need to go read them to familiarize yourself with the story, familiarize yourself with Christina's writing style, because it's a very unique writing style, and understand that you will understand that her triggers, she will carry you through them. Are they jarring? Are they sometimes uncomfortable? Absolutely. But every single one of her triggers has a purpose. And so I knew going into this book, I didn't have to worry. I was going to be taken care of, and I was. Even with the new triggers that we experienced in this book, that we were only kind of referencing the other ones. And I actually feel like I'd seen this one. And that was scary. But I knew I was in good hands, so I'm okay. So please, if you are sensitive at all, understand that this is it's not a difficult read, but it could be very uncomfortable for some people. But the author takes that into consideration. is not afraid of these triggers, but uses them in the correct ways. There is a reason for everything in the book, even if you don't think there is. It will come to you later on, or it was already touched on in the previous books, because she has this really unique continuity thing, and we'll get into it. But just understand, the triggers are real, they are in great detail, but you are taken care of. Okay, so why did I choose this book? I chose this book because I'm reviewing this entire series for Christina. After doing Haunt, the very first book, which I found on Reads Discovery, she liked my review so much and how I laid out and how I talked that she asked me to review the entire of the series. So she sent me Curse and this book of her own free volition. And I just adore her for it. But please understand that even though I was asked for this review, she knows that I'm not going to lie to her. I am going to be brutally honest. That's one reason why she requested reviews from me, is that I'm honest about what I feel in the story. So these are my own opinions. These are my own thoughts on this book, even though she did, of her own free volition, give me this, and I do love this bitch like she's a sister from another mother, okay? She's literally my missing link in female form. She is. Because of what is in her stories. Because it speaks to me on a level that I didn't know actually fucking existed, and it's creepy. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it. So that's why I chose this book, because I was going to read this book regardless of doing a review on it anyway. But I got asked to do a review on a book that I absolutely adore and I knew I was going to adore. Are there parts of it that I am going to talk about later that might be a little hard? Absolutely. But that's how I go. That's how I roll. That's how I work. So a brief summary about this book, just to kind of whet your appetite a little bit and maybe get you refreshed a little bit. This is the third installment to the Loveletting series, and on the back, there is a brief summary. She does not include a lot of big summaries on her books. That's just her formatting, which I think is stunning, by the way. I think that's fantastic. However, so to give you some kind of summary without me having to kind of like give you separate plot points, I did go on Goodreads, and this is the summary that is attached to the book on Goodreads. I have not edited this in any way. I have not removed things. I have not added things. So if there's anything in here that you find spoilerly to this book, I apologize. This is what's on Goodreads. I don't think there's any spoilers in here, but what is a spoiler to somebody is not a spoiler to somebody else. That's just kind of the luck of the draw, guys, you know? So here we go. More questions will arise for each that is answered. As the world building unfurls, nothing is as it seems. You have no fucking idea how true that is. You will, though. You will. The Loveletting saga picks up in Ghost right after the cliffhanger events of Curse, although not straight away, as new characters merge into the story along with old favorites. A gripping plot that doesn't stray away, but intertwines instead, stretching across the whole series for readers to bond, explore, and abhor. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Very true. Powerfully developed characters that will inspire, amuse, provide answers, and pose new questions, introducing riddles along the way. Yeah, I saw those. Thanks. And beguiling enigmas you may have to piece together for upcoming books. Saw those too. Great mysteries will be revealed within the pages as backstories and secrets that are unraveled only to challenge both the mind and the morals. The world explored in Ghost will not see the shadows wane. Instead, new ones will be cast with a touch of magical realism and a heavy dose of sinister psychological horror, all intertwined with an overarching storyline of deeply gothic romance. This journey will draw you in with the inception of true evil that festers the mind in a new character that will have your skin crawling until the very end. Ghost is gut-wrenching, unapologetic, raw, and honest, depicting the most elementary mistakes of mankind to be made, but also the most convoluted. But above all, the questions will be answered. Whose eyes locked with Charlotte's before the world dissolved into a blank void? Whose face was marred to the skull? And whose mask will be the last to fall? I love it. I love it. That's fucking fantastic. It draws me in. It makes me wonder. It just reminds me of all those little reveals I got in Curse, and just brings me right back. This is fucking stellar. I loved it. Had a great time. I actually read this summary after I finished the book, and to be perfectly honest, nailed it. Nailed it. I fucking loved it. So let's really get into this. Actually, one more thing. Because this is the third installment to a very long series and is a direct follow-up. I usually don't do this in my reviews, but when it is a series, I feel that it's necessary to do this just to pre-warn you guys if this is the first time you're seeing me. Because this is the third installment, I'm going to be issuing a spoiler warning. Ta-da! Spoiler warning. If you have not read Haunt, if you have not read Curse, there is no way on God's green earth that I can talk about this book without spoiling these two. Christina has this really unique continuity element that we'll get into later, that forces you to literally go back to these books over and over and over again. So when I'm talking about this book, I will be referencing both of these books and giving away some of the big reveals, especially a huge one in the end of the first one that changes the whole dynamic of the second one. Okay, there's a huge one. So literally can't talk about this book without spoiling these two. So if you have not read Haunt, obviously, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go pick it up. This was my book of the year in 2023. I love this thing. I have told everybody to read this book. I'm in love with it. Oh, and cover of the year. By the way, cover of the year also. So please stop this, go read this book, and then pick this one up. If you have read this one and you're debating on reading this one, again, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go pick this up and read it. It's William Griffith, okay? You read him, understand his pain, okay? You need to understand it to understand what Patrick Tillman's got going on over here, okay? So in this video, I will not spoil Ghost for you. I will not spoil it, but Haunt and Curse will get spoiled. Also, if you have not seen my review on Haunt and Curse, which they were linked up here in the corner and they'll be in the down box below the playlist, please go pause this, go reference those, because I'm going to be directly referencing those videos, especially Curse, in this video. So that way you won't be spoiled for that. Now, if you don't care about spoilers and you're here to see me gush and just brag and tear and eviscerate this book apart like Christina does to some of my favorite characters, payback's a bitch, all right? Payback's a bitch. And my name's Jackie. Stick around. Let's get going. Spoilers be damned, all right? But again, if you do not want to be spoiled for this book, and trust me, you don't want to be spoiled for Ghost. You just don't, okay? You don't. Please stop, go read Haunt and Curse and come back and join me. But again, no spoiler. You don't give a shit about spoilers. Grab your drink because we're going to get into it. This is what worked. Okay. It's time. It's time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. What worked? First, direct series follow-up. Gotta hit the continuity. It is there. It is on point yet fucking again. This woman has this most unique way of continuity. She literally leaves open gaps in the previous installments that drive you batty, kind of piss you the fuck off, but then she gives you everything in this book. But she doesn't give you enough. What she did was she gave you the answer over here, but gave you the question here, kind of like Jeopardy. But now we're in the third installment. So now we have the answer, the question, and now we have the players, the setting, the magic, the backstory, making the answer completely fucking different than what we thought. What the fuck, man? What the absolute fuck? The overlap in this book is stunning. Stunning. She does this overlapping, tie-in, puzzle piece making, fucking jigsaw puzzle. I really wish I could see, like, if she has like a drawing board where she has like her reveals and she's like, no, I'm gonna drop this one here. I'm gonna drop this one here. I'm just gonna forget to tell you this shit over here because I'm gonna tell you that in like book 3 or book 4 in like a single line statement. Just drop it down there and see if you remember it. Well, guess what? I didn't quite remember it all the time, but I knew because I had read Curse and I saw how that continuity worked that I decided to one-up her. I decided, like, no, you're not just gonna leave me fucking hanging and put this shit together. So while I was reading Ghost, I went back into Haunt and Curse and I found those little Easter eggs and overlapped them, which gave me a whole nother fucking level of a story. So you wanna talk about some overlapping 3-dimensional 3D puzzle shit? Fuck the Rubik's Cube. This is a literary Rubik's Cube. This series is a literary Rubik's Cube. And it's fucking fantastic, and I love it. Because I could never solve one of those bachelors. Never could. All right? I don't know how people fucking do it. But I can't. But to do this continuity, she still does this famous drop technique that she has. And when I mean drop technique, I mean she literally drops a fucking bomb in your lap. And you're like, is this gonna blow up in my face? And it's just sitting there. It's like an undetonated bomb. It's just sitting there. You know it's active, it's live. You're just waiting for it to explode. But you have no idea what timer you're on. You only have the bomb. The timer is somewhere else. Now the other person has a timer and then you get it later on. And then you're like, oh, I only have like 5 minutes left. Fuck, I gotta figure out how to get out of this. But then you realize that you're like tied to a fucking chair and you have to get out of that puzzle first. And you have to do some fucking code, give your DNA or some other shit to freaking figure this shit out. This continuity is amazing because it's a giant fucking puzzle. And it's awesome. It is so realistic because this is how real life is. This is one of the realest elements in her stories. This is all fiction. It is, but there is some sense of realness to it. And this is how people are. We don't always get all the stories because people hide things. We keep things away. We don't always give all the information, or we over dramatize sides of the information, which exacerbates. And it's like, oh, this really looks like it should go here. And it doesn't. I love that she's making this continuity almost a character in of itself. I look for this. I'm excited about learning who is really going to tie in and who's really going to give me all the connective pieces, who has the most connective pieces, and who is the actual big connector to everybody, because there is one. You see in this more of the border forming of this gigantic fucking puzzle that's about to start being built like this instead of just, two-dimensional. We're starting to build it 3D now. It's freaking amazing. I loved it. Not only did she tie to book 2, she tied to book 1 in the same fucking sentence. Same sentence, and she tied both books for 2 different fucking things. I saw it happen like 4 fucking times. I was like, you did not just do this. You did not tie the beginning of book 1 to the middle of book 2 at the end of book fucking 3. You did not. No, you didn't. No. Bitch, sure she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she fucking did. Damn, that was awesome. That was just, I was so proud of her. I even cried a little bit. I was so proud. I was like, that is amazing. This is just, I love it. I love her continuity because she's on point with it, because it looks so real. You feel like the reader, like, is she remembering everything she wrote? But then you find out later on, they're like, oh yeah, she did. She remembered everything she wrote, because here it all is. It all clears up. Everything always clears up. I fucking love it. I get such a huge kick out of her writing style. That continuity element within her writing style is just fire awesome. All right. Another thing that really worked is the new plot developments. We still get them given to us in the same episodic nature that I've come to be accustomed with book 1 and book 2. And when I mean episodic nature, it almost feels like little bitty episodes of like a soap opera, where you get, when you watch a soap opera, you get a piece of this person's story, a piece of this person's story, a piece of this person's story. And through the hour episode, you get like little bits and pieces. And that's what each kind of chapter feels like. But there's really no rhyme or reason. Some days we get more of Mac and Charlotte. Some days we get more of Charlotte and Tillman. Some days we don't get either of those fucking people. We get some random fucking new character that doesn't have a goddamn name, still figure out who the fuck he is. We get some random new fucking people. They're just like, who are you? And then we get some scary shit that you're just like, did you really just taxidermy a person? What? Oh, okay. I mean, it's just all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no pattern I can ever discern. I couldn't discern one in Haunt. I couldn't find one in Curse. And I sure as shit couldn't find it in this one. I think she literally just has a dartboard of all of her characters. And she just throws fucking darts at it and be like, I'm going to talk about this fucker now. Oh, it went off the wall. I guess that means I'm creating a new character. I bet she does. I don't know for sure, but that'd be really cool if I was right. The other thing about these new plot points is she's taking them in the not typical route. So when you read books a lot, you start to see patterns. That's how we get tropes, okay, people? That's how we get tropes. You know, he said, she said, boy meets girl, boy pisses girl off, girl runs away, girl comes back, or boy saves her, whatever trope the book is following. Christina gives you that trope base, but then doesn't give you the normal trope ending. She takes some of these plot lines and goes completely different routes, completely veer off, magical, face-wearing, body-snatching, raven-talking routes. And you're like, huh? What? Did you just take a good guy and turn him into a douchebag in 2 sentences? Sure did. She takes all of these multiple plot points and she just doesn't do what you think is, she's building up for what you think is going to happen, and then she just goes off in left field. She doesn't do it for every single one of them, but these left field moments are so crazy, so random, that they fucking work. They're not just like, oh my God, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you writing? They are poetry in motion, but it's a jarring poetry. It's that stop poetry. It's the writing that when you hear it, you're like, huh, it's jarring. It's unnatural to do this, but it feels so different and exciting that you want to continue feeling it. And so you continue going and you're like, okay, all right, we're going to go down the rocky path. We're not going to go the path less traveled. Or the path well traveled. We're going path less traveled. That's awesome. I got a rock in my shoe. Now I'm uncomfortable. Thank you. But I'm okay because the view that I'm about to see is so much better because it's something that nobody really sees because nobody really ever takes this path. And I love it. This is one of the coolest things about horror writers is because they don't take the traditional path. They can be as crazy and dark and twisted. And she's taking that beautiful concept of horror writing and turning it into a romance. Now, yes, there's horror in this. Don't get me wrong. There's some horror. There's some gore. There's taxidermied people. That one now haunts me a little bit. That's just, oh God. So many thoughts when I got to that part. But anyway, yeah, you're uncomfortable and unnerved, but she's taking the fun parts of horror and those jarring sides and bringing it into the romance world and displaying it in a way I've not seen before, and I just adore her for it. It's fantastic. The way she's blending these genres seamlessly. It's fantastic. She's doing such a great fucking job with it. But she still has those random drop plot points, like those drop points earlier with the continuity. Yeah, those are new plot points, and you're like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do with this? You just like left me hanging here. Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. I don't know. And it's unnerving. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't really make sense. But I know from her past writing that it's all going to get cleared up eventually. I just have to feel uncomfortable for a while. I didn't get a spoonful of sugar for this medicine to go down, but I still took the medicine. It's fine. I'm cool. It's great. I'm waiting for it to start working. So, new plot developments, fucking fire. The trajectory that some of these plot lines are going on, I'm super, super pumped about, super excited. Nothing is boring me. None of these new plot developments is boring me or saying, oh, I'm so done with this character. I'm so over it. Like, seriously, grow the fuck up. I'm not at that stage yet because of the route she's taken. She's not staying on that normal path where you get tired of it. She keeps veering off, but then coming back and veering and then doing it again, but then going on this much bigger path that you never even go back on this path anymore. You're like, what? It's amazing. She does such a good job. Another thing that this woman has got down pat is her world building. Okay, world building. She did back off a little bit compared to the first 2 installments. Definitely from the first one. The first one is heavy world building. Second one, we did get some new regions and some new areas, so we still get a lot of world building. This one, we still get world building, but not to the degree at all as in the first 2 installments. But it was still, when we got building of world, on point. I knew where I was. I knew what my characters looked like. I knew what they felt like, what they smelt like. Again, I knew what some of them tasted like. She's got a really way with that. She does, but I'm a foodie, so I'm good with it. You know, that's one of your 5 senses. 5 senses. Enjoy it. the cool thing about this installment compared to the other two were more of a physical world building. The first one, definitely physical, but we were also building some backstories of characters, our main characters. Curse, we were building more on the original physical world and kind of giving a little bit more dilemma, giving some backstory, some of the dilemma. And this one, we're really building the world between characters. We're seeing real relationships really start to form. We're seeing the bonds building, not just building from one dramatic event. We're talking just like boring everyday building block type moments, which is really the foundation of any type of relationship. We're gonna really get to see that in a lot of relationships in this book for sure. Definitely. And we're also getting quite a lot of backstories in this, learning, if you will, the ghosts of our characters' past, which I found very, very fitting when I realized that this was featured more on somehow the backstories were intertwined with people and how their backstories affect who they are now. Definitely going back in time and saying, this is what I learned from here. This is why I don't do this. Huge history person here, absolutely stunning. You have no idea where you're going unless where you've been, and I definitely saw that reflected so well in the story. I know where my characters, or at least I think I know, where some of my characters are going based off of where their backstory was. But then some of these stories are where she just takes a fucking left turn and you're like, huh? Well, okay. Apparently they didn't learn their lesson, or they learned it, but they learned how to overcome it and they want to say fuck off and we're going to do some crazy shit. So I love that. I loved that the world building was still there, but I got to see it in a different way. Not only did I see it in a physical form, I saw it in emotional form, but now I'm getting to see it in a historical form. And I thought that was dope. That was so unique that every single installment, she's giving me another layer of her ability to write and her ability to build, her ability to strengthen, her ability to connect to everything, to nature, to the setting, to people, to their past, to possibly their futures, to their, the next installment I believe is called Slave. I'm assuming probably connecting to their obsessions, what they're slaves to. It could be a people, it could be a thing, it could be an act, I don't know, but I am dying to find out because I'm dying to see how she builds that world and what area she's going to emphasize. Because that's the thing about Christina, every single book, if you read them carefully, you will find that every single book focuses on a specific area of the human experience. And I think it's fantastic when you find that extra layer of a story. Oh, I love a story within a story. I love it. I used to hate this in high school. I used to hate reading between the lines. I'm like, the author's not trying to say this shit. But now that I'm older and I see it, and I'm not being forced to see it, I just naturally see it coming through the pages. I'm just like, yes, abso-fucking-lutely yes. Yes, yes, yes. All the yes, give me more. Give me fucking more. I loved it. World building on point again. Bitch can write a fucking story. All right. We also get to develop a lot of our previous characters that were introduced in book 2. So not only did we get to meet a lot of these characters in book 2, but now we get to be more familiarized with them. And she develops them a lot, all right? A lot. We really get to really know them. Like I said, Ghosts does focus a lot on backstories and kind of side stories with these characters. So with these newer characters for sure. So like Marshall Tillman, we get so much. If you loved Marshall in book 2, you're gonna love book 3. Holy shit, you're gonna love that man. You're gonna hate that man. You're gonna want to smack that man. You're gonna want to fuck that man. All right, I'm just tell you right now, all four of them. You're gonna say, I want to fuck you, Tillman. Fuck you, Tillman. Are you fucking crazy, Tillman? And what the fuck are you doing, Tillman? You will do it. Telling you right now, you will. Loved him. Major development of his character. Absolutely. If out of all the characters, he probably has literally the most development in this story compared to maybe like one more. But he's on the fucking cover, people, okay? This is Marshall Tillman. Enjoy beauty that he is. Also, by the way, Christina took this photo. She takes the photos of all of her covers. Another stunning image. Another stunning image. Another one. Okay, another one we get to develop a little bit more is one of my favorites, Jesse McCoy. I said in Curse when we met him, or really got to know him, I felt like that was an origin story for him. I feel like at the end of Curse that he was on an origin story. And I still hold true to the statement. I still hold true because I still see in this book, we're building Jesse. We're seeing the innocence being literally page by page, event by event, action by action, being ripped away from him, being forced away from him, from the situations that she keeps putting him in. And I just want to hold him and take him home because he's Jesse. He's the little puppy dog. But I feel like this fucker is going to wake up one day and he is going to be a villain to end all villains, because I feel like Christina's going to eviscerate him on the page because it's already looking like she's giving me all of this, but yet she keeps taking it away and he keeps holding on. He keeps fighting to be the good guy. And I'm just like, oh my God, you're going to fall. Oh my God, you're going to fall so hard and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so amazing. I just can't wait to see where she takes him in the next story, especially with how this one left him. I'm just like, huh? What? Oh my God. Innocence is gone. Is it though? Can he hold out just a little bit longer? Does he have it? Does he have it in him to hold out just a little bit longer? I don't know. I have no idea. We'll see. We shall see. We also got to meet a little bit more of Jerry Einberg. Unfortunately, I did not get enough of him. I wanted more of him. But if you read the book, you'll find out why. But it's epic. And I feel like, though, when Christina does things, no character's ever, untouched again. Like, she keeps coming back. Like, there's characters from book one that we learned stuff about that I didn't think we should know anything more about, but we did, and it's fantastic, and I love it. So I'm not really worried, but I really wish I had more of him because I was looking forward to him. I liked his character a lot, but what I did get of him, I had a great time, and I don't feel like his story is over. I don't. Actually, I know it's not over because nobody is over in this book. There's nobody safe, and there's nobody over in this book, all right? And then we have James. We have James, the man who turns me on and scares the living crap out of me. At the same time, I love this character, and I should not. He is insanity written so well, but yet there's intelligence behind it, and I just think it's beautiful. I love him. I love how evil he is, but I also love his intelligence and his demeanor. I love the way he writes. I love the way he speaks. I don't like what he does, but I like that there's intelligence behind everything he does. When you think he snaps and loses all control, he is still in so much control. The amount of control this man has boggles my mind, and I just in awe of him. I love him. I do. I get so scared when I see his name on the page, or I feel like I'm in a scene with him, because she has this fun way of writing about him and not actually saying his name, because it's like, we shall not speak his name. I will say his name to the fucking rooftops. James fucking Miller, are you kidding me? Like, I love this man. I love him, but I shouldn't. It's like the whole Bonnie and Clyde thing. Bank robbers should not love you, but I fucking do. I do. I love him so much because his intelligence is so beautiful, but what he does is so dark and twisted and disturbed. And I'm still worried about what happened to Christina as a child to make her write a character like that. But the fact that I love him makes me wonder if maybe I have some repressed memories too. I don't know. Like I said, we're cut from the same cloth. We are just from different parents. Like, we are the same person. We are. Just a heads up. We are. I just, the intelligence is what gets me on this character. Just out of all the characters, we have characters that are gruff. We have characters that are sexy. We have characters that are innocent. We have characters that are funny. James is everything. and everything is written with this layer of just intelligence that surpasses everybody. He's the guy in school that was so fucking pompous because he knew he was smart and he could do whatever the fuck he wanted, and he did it anyway, and you just kept staring at him. And even if what he was doing was wrong, you didn't care because he could justify it logically. And manipulator, control freak, psychopath, sociopath, insane, I don't know what you want to fucking call him, but God, is it just exquisite to watch him and to read him on the page and what he does, and his dark and twisted is just, it's done so artistically on top of it that it's just, oh. The creative person in me, every time I see him on the page, just is like, what are you gonna do next? What envelope are you gonna push? Where are you gonna take him? And I just adore him. I do, and I should be committed for it. But I don't care. I love him. I still feel targeted. I still think he targets me. But who knows? We'll see. We shall see. Not only do we get to meet more of these characters, but we learn about secrets within these characters. So more secrets, more tricks, more we don't know what's going on, okay? This book is full of secrets, and when she said in her summary, whose the mask is last to fall, there are some masks that I don't think should fall because I'm so scared. I'm so scared, but I'm down for it. Let's go for it. I'm a thrill seeker. Let's do it. But I am excited. What I also really liked within her characters is that she brought us back to some of the original characters from Haunt. We didn't see some of the characters in Curse that we met in Haunt, but we see them again in Ghost, and we got to learn more. Now, we did learn more about Charlotte. We did further develop Mac, and those two main characters and kind of their relationship and how they're building and falling apart and building. We did do that, but we went back to some of these smaller characters that were very small roles in Haunt, and she brought them back and made them forerunners and major players in this installment. We get to see more of little Jonathan and Amara. Fuck that bitch. Still fuck her. Have a nice day. Didn't like her. Still don't like her. Didn't like her in Haunt. Don't like her now. But you gave me a character that I really just don't fucking like, and I'm okay with it because I have something to say about her. And I loved it. I love that you gave me enough. When you brought her back, enough was given to give me some kind of emotion. And it didn't change my emotion. You just further developed what I already had. And I like an author that either will keep that emotion or change it. And this one, she decided to keep it. We also get to visit Miss Marga, and I know she's going to have she's going to have some more fun with her too, because that bitch is fun. Yeah, that's the, she reminds me of like Sophia Petrillo. That's the kind of the way I feel about her, and I love her. Like, she's just gonna start breaking down a story about Sicily, and I'm just like, please break it down. I would love to hear about your stories of Sicily, because it's awesome. I loved it. We do have some brand new characters in this story. Some awesome, some I know are gonna do some amazing fucking things, and then some that can go rot and die. Like Jane. Fuck that bitch. I don't like her. I don't like her at all. I hate her. She's a harpy and a tart, and I think she's annoying, and maybe it's because, you know, Marshall fucking Tillman, okay? Mine. Back the fuck off, bitch. Thank you. All right? I don't like her. I don't like Jane. I don't like her at all, but I don't think I was supposed to. I really don't think I was supposed to. At the fuck all. So mission accomplished. But we also get to meet Sven and Vigo, which are some of our Norsemen guys, and I think we're going to have some fun with them. I did not get as much as I wanted. I wanted more from them. I found when they were on page, I was really intrigued, and I was wanting to know more about who they were, their connection, the magic, and then the ending. What the fuck happened? Like, are you doing it again to me? What the fuck is wrong with these people? Like, seriously, how easily can these people be swayed for shit? Like, legit. But I loved it. I loved it. Really excited to see what happens with them. Don't really care about Jane. She can fuck off and die. Yep. True story. There is this element in this installment. I mentioned how in Christina's world building, she does, she focuses on kind of one major area and just really builds and builds. I noticed that in Curse, there was a thing with ships passing in the night. She had a big thing with this constant crossing, almost hitting. She doesn't really have that in this story. What she has is what I call ending on a fifth chord. If you've ever studied music theory, you have your chord progression. The fifth chord is that big chord where it's like you're right there and then it falls and it kind of gives you that release. She does that quite a lot. Like we have these building and building and building on the edge, but she never actually pushes you over, ending on a fifth chord. So in a song, it'd be da da da, and you end. Instead of going da 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 da, you just end right before the da da. It's fucking annoying. If it's ever happened to you in a song, like you turn a song off on the radio, it's really fucking annoying. But she does it in this book, but with words and lyrics, and it gave you that same sense of you're right there. You're right there. And then, by the way, we're gonna drop this story. We're gonna go on something else. New episode. What? Lot of almost like mini cliffhangers, mini cliffhangers. And it's constant. It's constant. It happens with relationships. It happens with family secrets that need to be revealed. It happens with explanations, especially with the magic and paranormal elements in the story. There is a lot more of it in this, and we don't really get a lot of explanation of it. We get it kind of built up, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to finally get these ravens talking explained. And then, no. Denied. Big, you are not allowed. Void. We're done. Moving the fuck on. A lot of drops like that. But it kept you going. It was exhausting at times, but the way she did it with relationships, and then she'd give you something. She did with some secrets, she'd give you something. She did give you some resolutions, but not the amount of reveals that we got in Curse. For sure. We're getting more building again, which is awesome. I don't mind. I don't mind that at all. This installment, however, going back to what I said about continuity, how she jumps back and forth, out of the three, this installment is literally probably the most straightforward storytelling out of the series that is currently released. So a good way in series, especially trilogies, you have your first book, introduce people, your second book is kind of like your bridge book, and then you got your third book with your resolution. When you have extended series, you have not really a beginning, middle, and end book. What you have is a series of bridging books. And this is a really good description of what I call a bridging book in this series. Because right now I think there's like 16 books in the series that she's currently working on. Like it's up to that. So it's a very, very good bridge from book one to where we are. In this book, we are dropping little nuances of what has happened in the past and what is to come. So it's giving you some of the back to tie you in, but it's still giving you enough of that future to keep you wanting to stay in that story and that in this world. So the previous installment, Curse, was really big on those reveals that we didn't get in book one because we had all the world building. This one definitely features building blocks off of those reveals. And when I mean building blocks, I mean building blocks of relationships in interpersonal stuff, in family dilemmas, in connections with people being connected to each other, and things of that. We are on the upward trajectory of the roller coaster, but we have not reached the top. And we are not waiting for the drop yet, but we are really fucking close. If you're in the first two, like cars, you're seeing the top, but you're not quite there yet. Hence why a lot of these moments were dropped on fifth chords. So I feel like in the next installment, we're gonna get even more bridging, but a little bit more release. Like I feel like she's gonna balance a lot of this out, because after enough fifth chords, you're just kind of like building up without any release. This book edged the fuck out of me. It did. It did. If you're into edging, you will enjoy this. You will. If you're not, excuse me, you'll be very frustrated. Very, very frustrated. But I know that release is going to be epic. So I will suck it up. I will suck it up. I will. I will take it and I will smile because it's Christina and I know she's gonna do fucking fantastic. So yeah. In this installment, we are still continuing with themes of testing human attributes, good versus evil. We touch on morality, ethics, loyalty, honest, love, lust, everything. Everything in the human scope is tested. And it's tested very, very odd ways, very, very sexy ways, and very, very painful ways. But some pass and some fail. And that's all I'm going to say about the human elements, because this is definitely one of those books you don't want to know who fails and who doesn't, because the results might surprise you, or they may not. Just depends what kind of reader you are. I love that this book had a lot more humor in it. Christina's got a very dark sense of humor, and I got to see it. Okay, so previous installments focused a lot on visceral scenes, some horror elements. There was still that visceral component. There were still parts where I'm like, the fuck? What? I'm in pain, physical pain now after reading that. But it was very much outweighed by some of the humor. We got a lot of fucking humor in this, and this is probably the funniest so far. Out of all the installments, this is by far the funniest. I loved seeing the humor side of a lot of these different relationships that we're forming. These interpersonal connected moments I mentioned earlier with Mac and Charlotte, some of the humor, Jesse and Charlotte, Charlotte and Tillman. Do we see a common theme? Charlotte's kind of a dark humored bitch, and I like it. I like it a lot. I got to see so much of her humor, and I have a very, very dark sense of humor to begin with. So I loved the dark ribbing humor in this story. I thought it was great. For as dark and twisty as it was, this humor was so refreshing. So refreshing. There was a shooting training scene that had me rolling with what Mac was saying. I just thought it was great. And then this one, we have an animal companion. Moby, the big fat white cat that symbol is not lost on me, okay? Not lost on me at all. Thought that was fantastic. But I loved Mac and Moby's relationship. Thought it was fucking hilarious. And I love the fact that she just kept calling him pussy. I love that the owner of Moby kept calling him pussy the entire time. It was fucking awesome. And just like the looks that Mac was written with his face, I just fucking lost my shit. I lost it so bad. Oh my God. I was rolling in this installment. I loved seeing the humor, and I hope I get to see more humor injected in the story, because there's a lot of dark elements. There's a lot of emotionally heavy elements. So to have that humor thrown in, even though it is a dark humor, still made it so much easier to kind of process some of that that darker stuff. And I really, really, really enjoyed that element for sure. Another thing that worked was we increased spice in this book. And all I'm going to say is Marshall fucking Tillman, because we have a spice rating coming up and we'll get to it. But understand, it's fucking hot. It's great. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, that is everything that worked in this story. There is a lot of other stuff, but I've already been talking a lot on what just worked. So we're going to get into the part of the video that a lot of people usually don't like, and that's what didn't work. At least this is the part that makes people uncomfortable. But before I get into that, I do believe that it's important to talk about the previous issues I had with the previous installment to see if those got relieved in this one. I'm not going to go back to Haunt's issues because they got resolved in Curse. So these are the ones that I had an issue with Curse. So just this with Curse, and if they got resolved in this installment, if she utilized the same techniques or whatnot. So here are my previous issues. One of my previous issues was that in the beginning of Curse, a lot of the new characters had very strong resemblances to previous characters that we no longer get to see anymore. That is not the case in this. The new characters in this installment are very much their own. There's no resemblance, however, to previous characters. The characters further develop in their own right while still learning more about characters that we had previously lost. So she didn't just resemble them. She just gave me brand new characters with brand new backstories, brand new things, but then gave me the old characters back, because once somebody goes in this series, they are not actually fucking gone. Rule number one of this series: no one is ever actually gone. Never assume that they're gone. Never. Just don't. which makes me worry a lot. I thought that the ships passing in the night trope that she used in book 2, I could see people saying that it was very overused because it was a lot. If you don't like ships passing night, that book would have driven you fucking batty. Okay, would have driven you batty because it was slightly frustrating. The ships passing night trope is not used in this book at all. It is more ending on that 5th chord that I discussed earlier, but it's not as intensely done as it was in the 2nd book with the ships passing a night. So the degree that she used the ships passing a night trope in the 2nd book, she did not layer that with the 5th chord element in this story. She definitely had a nice balance between it, so we got it enough to where it was just kind of like, we're doing it again. But she hit that line. She never crossed that level of completely like, this is bullshit, I'm fucking annoyed now. But she got you there. She got you there, but she never crossed it. So that was a good 5th chord to end on. But those are my only 2 issues from the previous installment, and they both got relieved in this one. So kudos to that. I loved it. I loved seeing new techniques, new things, new characters. I love being introduced to the old characters again and learning more about them. Thought that was great. And I love the fact that now I know that in 3 installments, if somebody goes, they're not always gone. I love knowing that, but I also love knowing that maybe they are, because I have no idea what she's going to do. I really don't, because like I said earlier, she does not take the stereotypical path. She gives you what you think is going to happen, and then she completely fucks it. And then when she gives you something completely fucked up that you know nothing about, you're like, huh? She completely does a reverse. She does like a slap, twist, and reverse thing all the fucking time in these stories. And I fucking love it. But there were some things in this installment that I did have a problem with. So this is what didn't work. And understand that this is for me and kind of what didn't work for me. So if you don't hold the same views, I completely understand, and that is fine. We're more than welcome to discuss about it. But these are just my opinions of what didn't work based off of the experience that I've had reading this series in its entirety. That is out currently. So if you do not know, Christina's first language is not English. She's actually Greek, and she knows many foreign languages. I think 4, if I remember reading the interview correctly. I think she can fluently speak 4, which, this is why I love this woman. She's so fucking multi-talented, but that's for another video. But she does have a unique choice in words due to the fact that I believe that English is not her first language. So she learned it differently than people who naturally speak it. We learn it differently. If you've ever learned English as a second language, it's taught to you much differently. When you learn another language, you tend to learn the formalized version of it. And so some of the word choices were not the common word that we would normally choose. Naturalized English speakers would choose to use, but they were still used correctly. It's just not the version, the vernacular, if you will, that we would use. 2 that really stuck out to me was she used in sooth a lot, not very commonly used amongst the English speaking, but proper English and Old English, yes. And in sooth basically means in truth. We would just say, in truth, I think you're a bitch. But in this book, she says, in sooth, you're a bitch. And it just sounds so much fucking more proper, and I love it. I really enjoyed it. I was like, holy shit. It's been a long time since I've seen that, okay? A long time since I saw that, and I was actually really, really surprised when I saw it. I was like, awesome. So it definitely made me come back and like use my brain some more to like open up my vocabulary and everything. So I thought it was really cool. And then desiderate was another one that she used quite a lot. And I was not familiar with that word. I actually had to look that one up because I never saw it, ever. But it was grammatically used correctly, and it fit the sentence. Once I knew the definition, I was like, oh, well, that makes fucking perfect sense. I appreciated that. Just they weren't the same vernacular that we would choose. And I think that for some people that might piss them off. For me, because I know that it's not her first language, it adds another layer of her into the story. And I love that. I love when you can the author can infuse yourself in the story, because let's be honest, these stories are there. They're stories. Now, yes, they're fiction. Yes, they're fantasy. Yes, not everything in this happens, but you still need to invoke something of you in them. And I love getting to know this woman through her writing. I've learned so much about her through her writing, just her writing, and this is another layer of it to me. And I'm just like, oh, I love this so much. It was so much fun for me, but I could see some people getting annoyed with it because it's not the common vernacular that it's chosen, that we would choose to use. And that's her prerogative. It's her fucking book. She can write however she wants. But she did tend to overuse a word in the first book. She did not overuse them, and they were used correctly. So, kudos. But they do stick out because they're not commonly used. So, this does and does not bother me. There is a lot more foreign language in this. Norwegian, a Norse language, for sure. I want to say Swedish or Danish. Don't quote me on that, okay? I'm bad with foreign languages. I'm honest, I'm fucking bad with them, okay? I barely got through French. But there are times in this book that when she gives you the foreign language, there's no translation. There's no translation guide. There's no glossary. There's nothing like that. You can infer from the context what they're saying. You can figure it out if you pay attention enough and you want to. But I do know how people read. Sometimes when you see that, you want it kind of given to you. It's not given to you. So I could see some people having an issue with it, but the way she used it with me, I was fine with it because I could discern from the surrounding paragraphs and statements what was being said. And just for shits and giggles, I looked some of them up and they were fucking hilarious. I thought it was great. And I was right. I figured out what it meant based on the context of the sentence. But I do know how sometimes people read, especially bigger books like this, they don't want to stop and look it up. But another layer of who she is, another layer of this foreign language element and language that she has. I mean, if you really look at the way she writes, the lyrical context of her writing, this makes sense because it's so lyrical, it's so poetic, it's very descriptive in its detail, it's very flowy, it's not jarring. Her scenes are jarring, but the words giving you that scene are very flowly, they flow very well. And so throwing these foreign language statements in, if you would have had them in English, still would have kept the same flow, but it's still giving a sense of who those characters are and letting you know that I'm pulling from all these different facets of my life to create this story. So not only is the story multifaceted, so am I as an author. And I fucking love that. But I could see people getting annoyed by it who don't appreciate that, for sure. So I just wanted to make that aware to people so you don't hold it against her, because you can figure out what they're saying in the context. And if not, it's called fucking Google. Look it up. It's kind of fun. It's like a little scavenger hunt at times, and it's fun. There was one big thing. This is the last thing that didn't really work for me. And it only happened a few times, but there's a point where a scene needs to be ended. It needs to stop. It needs to be cut because you have reached the pinnacle of threshold. You have made that moment, and now you need to let me sit with it. And some authors do this, and I did see it a few times in this book. This is the first time I've seen it in her series, and it was on a moment that I have waited for. And there's the clearest form of it, and this is what I call overwriting a scene. It doesn't happen a lot, and it has to be something that I really want for this to annoy me. But there was a huge scene, something I have waited a whole book and a half for, okay? I waited a whole fucking book for this scene, and I waited about a third of the other one, okay? Waited for it. Huge fucking moment. We're talking, we have built these blocks. I am on the edge of that roller coaster. I am there. This is one of those sweet release moments. Like, I know she's giving this to me. I'm just like, yes, she's going to give it to me. I'm going to get it. I'm going to finally get it. I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to cry tears of joy. And I'm going to scream hallelujah at the top of my lungs. And I fucking get it. I get it. It's epic. It's amazing. And then there's more fucking paragraphs after it. And it drove me insane because I had to keep reading because I'm like, is she going to take it away from me? She never took it away from me. She just kept expounding on it. And it lost its luster. I needed that moment to just sit there and savor. If she would have done a page break and then done one of her drop moments, oh my God, I would have died. I would have loved it, because that was a cliffhanger to have a cliffhanger on, but then it was extended with stuff that I could have dealt with later. I needed to revel in this experience. It's like a really good fucking orgasm, okay? You've just climaxed and you're just sitting there panting and you're like, oh my God, that was fucking amazing. I fucking love you, babe. I love you. I fucking love you. And then your fucking alarm goes off and you realize you're fucking late for work and you have to run. You can't enjoy that release moment. You've got it, and now you can't come down from that high. You have to go fucking do shit while still all discombobulated and your hair's all fucked up and shit. Like, that's the moment. And then it was overwritten. And I'm like, no, you did not. That was probably the only part of the book that pissed me off. And the only time I was like, no. You have edged me. You have tortured me. You have scared me. You have scarred me. You have turned me on. You've made me laugh. And now you give me a moment that I waited for. And you won't shut the fuck up. Let me enjoy it. Shut up. It was slightly annoying. It does not happen with every big scene. But this one hurt because I wanted this scene so bad. And if you read this book, you know which scene I'm talking about. And it just bothered me. I was like, no. So that was really the only major thing that I truly had a problem with on my own personal benefit. But with that being said, that buildup, that moment, even though it was overshown because there was more shit that I had to fucking read, that moment was still worth everything. It still was. Once I finished that portion, I definitely stopped and just said, I'm putting this down for the night. I'm gonna go enjoy my release. Yeah. I did. I did. Because it was still a great scene. It just was overwritten. And that was one of the only times I've seen her do it. And it just hurt on that scene because I wanted it so bad. And I just wanted to enjoy that moment. I wanted to enjoy it a little bit longer than she gave me. So, which brings me, since we're talking about orgasms and just release, spice rating. I gave this thing 4 chili peppers. 4 chili peppers. Yep, she kept the spice in this one. Increased number of super sexy fun times. Holy shit, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot more flirtation and emotional pull scenes as well, which I really appreciate because I do love a good flirt. I'm a flirt by nature. I apparently, I don't realize I'm doing it, but apparently I flirt with everybody. I don't know. Maybe it's because I look you in the eyes when I talk. I don't know. Whatever. But I loved it. I loved the coy little one-liners, the little smirks that she wrote between the couples, the shy little glances. I loved and ate all that shit up because I fucking love that shit. I loved it. We also got to see oral sex shown. Loved it. I was so happy when that happened. I was like, favorite act being performed on the best. That's fucking dope. I love it. I fucking love this. Yes, I love this. I love the way it was shown. Oh, it was so amazing. There was a lot of humor in this book. There was also a lot of fun in sex. Sex can be fun. It doesn't have to always be super romantic and super steamy. It can be funny and it can have a good time and you can laugh with your partner. And I like that she showed that. I thought that was great. I was like, yes, this is my bitch. I love her. I love her. I love that she gives me what I want. I do. I love it. And then, of course, you have Marshall fucking Tillman. I mean, seriously, look at this man. This book is spicy because of this man right here. Right here. I mean, who doesn't love a good eye patch? I don't know who doesn't. I wonder what shoulder he wants his pirate on. With his parrot on. I know. I wonder. I loved it. I love the spice in this book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There wasn't a lot in the first one. We cracked it up in the second one, and then she just kept giving it in this third installment. So spice level on par. I loved it. Fantastic. Which brings me to my final thoughts. My final rating for this book is a 4.5. 4.5 for this one. That ending, not the dualistic nature that this woman writes with. I talked a little bit about morality, good versus evil. The way she writes, she has a very dualistic nature when she writes. When she writes, it can be dark. It can also be light. It just depends on you as the reader. And there's a lot of instances that two people are going to experience different things based off what their backgrounds are. I loved that she writes with this dualist nature, and then that ending, she gives me a very clear cut, high and low, literally paralleled at the same fucking time. And that's how you fucking end it? What the fuck, man? What in the absolute fuck? I loved it. I love that she carried it all the way to the final fucking line. That is one thing about this author that you need to understand, is that everything she does, she carries through its entirety. She does not let up, even in the last line of the fucking book. This is the second book. The second book that the last line has literally completely just done, flipped, and reversed everything. Everything I thought I knew now, I don't. Everything I thought was going to happen, throw it out the fucking window, because I know shit. Last line of the fucking book. Second time she's done this to me. You have to understand that when she writes something, she sees it through to the end. Another thing I just fucking love about this author is I know even if she leaves you hanging, she's going to see you through. You might have to wait a book or two, but you're going to get it. You're going to get it, and you're going to see it to the very end. I fucking love that. I love that. I love that about her. There was an area that I wanted more explanation in, and this didn't necessarily not work, so that's why I didn't put it in this section, but it was something that I felt like would have benefited from this, but I kind of understand why, because it is one of the more complicated components to the story. There is a lot of magical, mystical realism elements in these stories, and you're getting glimpses of it in each book. You're getting a little bit of explain, but not really enough explanation to really quite understand. And in each book, she's layering more and more and more on top of it. So I feel like this is literally the slowest plot to be revealed. Like, this is the one that she's taking at the snail's pace, which makes me feel like it's gonna be big when it starts really to really get into it. And I don't even know if she's going to really get into it in the next installment. I honestly don't know, because it's still very, very infantile in its development, because we really know nothing about it at all. So it's just, I wanted more explanation, but I do understand that she does have to have some slow moving things for further developments down the road, because this is a 16 book series, possibly 17 books, I think, at this point. So like, she needs things that will carry through the entirety to get us through. So she can't give away every big plot. So I understand, but I really would love to see just a little bit more explanation, because it's a very confusing element, because we know so little about it. I am in shock for Jessie. I am worried for Jessie. Like I said, I can see him being eviscerated page by page, and I am loving this, and I cannot wait to see what she does when he is completely ripped to shreds. Is she going to build him back up stronger, or is he going to succumb? Is he going to be the deciding factor? Like, is he going to, I don't know, because he can go either way. He has the makings of being something great. He also has the makings of being something sinister. He has the makings of being both, because everybody in this book has a dualist nature. The author, the story, the characters. But he is the one that I want to know, because he's my puppy. And I want to see if he stays a good dog or turns into a hellhound. I want to know. Marshall Tillman. What a fucking predicament. What a predicament. Dude, you kind of slightly deserved it. I love him. I love him, but he doesn't piss me off in this book. So not really upset right now. Karma's a bitch. Thanks. Jonathan, what the fuck? Little Jonathan. All I gotta say is, damn, you are fearless to have a kid. Damn. Damn. But I am waiting to see that trajectory. I am waiting to see it, because that is gonna be epic right there. I know it is. Absolutely gonna be epic with that. Abso-fucking-lutely, and I can't wait. Can't fucking wait. And how are you going to resolve this? These are my final thoughts. Notice fucking questions? They're all questions. They're all questions because I was left with so many fucking questions. And who the fuck was that? Who was it? Because I know there's a character we've yet to meet that is darker and twistier than anybody you created so far. And I am dying to meet them. Dying. James might be a little jealous at that point. And to my author, Christina, you know I love you. You know I treasure you, and why the fuck do you have to live so far away from me? Thank you so much for this story and trusting me with it and asking my opinion and caring about what I think. You have no idea what your stories do for me, and they speak to me on a level I had no idea I need to be spoken to on. But I'm so glad that I found you and your stories, and I get to learn more about you through every time I open a page of one of your books. I also get to enjoy all of your beautiful artwork on my shelves. I get to enjoy all of them. And I cannot wait for the collection to grow. So, thank you again from the bottom of my heart for sending me all of these books. You did not have to do that, but thank you so much. I absolutely love them and I treasure them. They have a treasured spot on my shelf. I see them every day and I relive their stories every single day. And I love you and I love you for it. And I have to say, cover one's still my favorite. It still is. Still is. I can't deny it. I love Patrick. I do. But although I have seen sneak peeks of 4, we might have a runner-up. We might have a contender, just so you know. But thank you so much for haunting me, cursing me, and letting me live with your ghost. Because I cannot wait to see how you make me your slave. I love you, and I'll see you guys all soon with another video. Bye, guys.